Yeah, we're going up, up, up. So guys, we are gonna talk very candidly. We came up with this idea of doing mixed moments. So kind of, we have a lot of things in our life that we
disagree on.
It doesn't mean we still disagree on them now. A lot of these topics we have come to compromise or found what works for us as our little family of 3. But we did want to share some of these with you. So for our first mixed moment, we wanted to talk about the struggle we had with deciding how to balance the things happening in Appling and at home for Mike, and how to balance that with our own personal everyday life.
The majority of what you're going to see is based off of our upbringing. It's not saying that either one was wrong. It was just we grew up different ways with different thinking patterns about things. So the way that I think could be totally different on what she thinks. But what we've noticed as a couple is that we have to come to either an agreement on something or a compromise, which always happens actually.
So when Mike and I first started dating, I was living in the Atlanta area and he was still living in Appling, Georgia. And I think for me, one of the hardest things to deal with was Mike has a huge family and they always have events and celebrations and birthdays. Just because there's so many of them, there's always something to do on the weekend. And it's not just like they said, oh, we want to go here. There's literally somebody celebrating a birthday or an anniversary or something. So I would want him to come and visit. We would have plans and Mike would forget that, I'm just throwing something out, that it was your cousin's birthday or something. Mm-hmm. And Mike would cancel those plans with me to stay in Augusta, because not only did I think that's what he wanted to do, but on top of that, I don't know, you speak for yourself, but did you have controversy? I feel like there was judgment from your family if you were to miss that event.
I wouldn't necessarily call it judgment. And the reason why I wouldn't call it judgment is because my family actually really doesn't care what you do in a sense. Now, they might have an opinion on that, but all in all, those events, I grew up always going to those events and always being there, never missing it, never even thinking about missing it. And so the toughest part for me was trying to balance those with me having another priority. And so I don't think it had a lot to do with my family. It was more of me just wanting to be there every single time. And it became a problem because I was canceling a lot of stuff that me and Jazz had planned to go back home or stay home and do this. And to be honest with you, my family is a family, we don't plan a lot of stuff. A lot of stuff is, hey, this person's doing this weekend. Tomorrow. Or this person's doing this Sunday. And, so again, it's a family thing, and my family to me is extremely fun, and I didn't want to miss it, but we had a whole bunch of arguments about that as well.
I think we have swung the opposite direction though, which wasn't necessarily good. So I think at first it was, you were always choosing that over, the visits. But then I think once you moved to Noonan, it was almost as if we were doing the opposite. I think we stayed home too much or stayed in Noonan too much. And then I think your family started feeling like you weren't there at all. So I think we've
balanced it.
No, I don't think, I think we've balanced
That's
it now,
what I'm saying.
but I don't think we
balanced
did then. I think we were definitely one extreme than the other.
Well, it's kind of, because Jazz's family is a planning family. Jazz's mom will call you a month before and say, hey, what are y'all doing on the 23rd of next month? We want to go here. And then in my head, I'm like, oh, okay, yeah. So
it was a lot easier to follow through, I think, on my side of family stuff, because it was so in advance and it was written on a calendar, posted on the wall, versus your family's a lot more last minute and spontaneous, I would say.
Yeah, and also I have a humongous family. So planning something for everybody to go to is extremely difficult.
So I kind of disagree with that. So I think because you have more people, planning would actually benefit you guys more than it would benefit us, because then you could at least like incorporate anything versus planning at the last minute and then there's a whole bunch of people that can't go. Somehow they all end up showing up. So I feel like planning would actually help you guys get everybody there at the same time. So I disagree with that.
So that might work with somebody else's family.
No, y'all just don't like planning.
But
it's
my
not about
family,
working or not. Y'all just straight up don't like planning.
No, it's you could plan something sometimes and everybody's not going to make it. But when we have a spur of the moment event, for some reason everybody makes it.
That's so
like if we plan,
I agree with you, because
if we plan a cruise or something,
tons of people can't go.
Tons of people can't go. But then if we plan a trip to, say, Orlando
for 3 days
for 3 days ahead or 2 weeks ahead, people are like, "Oh, what am I doing in 2 weeks?" Yeah, I can come. So it's
backwards, but it works for you.
It works for my family, and like I said, if we're having an event, nobody in my family wants to miss it. I think the only thing that has happened now is we live 7 hours away, and we have multiple other cousins that have grown up and moved away. So the necessity of making it isn't as an importance because
there's more of you that cannot.
Not just that, it's a further distance away.
Okay.
So when we were in Atlanta, it was a 2-hour drive, which that was nothing. Now it's a 7-hour drive.
I think our like overall fix and compromise for this one are two things. So we have two. Sometimes we have like guidelines in our family, but sometimes we have rules. So one rule is we're not moving any further away from Augusta than we currently live. I don't think it would be an issue with my family. Like my family is okay with, having more prolonged periods of time. It's not as rare to have somebody live further away from my parents. Like my sister lives in Ohio, and that's fine and dandy with my family. Although I think your family would struggle if somebody lived that far away.
Although I wouldn't say it's fine and dandy with your family. I think they have a preference, and I think they wish they weren't. But I think your family is.
I think my parents are like that, but I don't think it. I can only speak for myself. I don't think it bothers my sister as much. It bothers my parents, and I definitely know that it doesn't bother me that much.
Yeah.
So it just depends on who you're talking about. But overall, it doesn't matter. None of us feel the way that your family would feel if we lived 7.
Well, I would feel the same way as my family too.
Right. So, if we live more than what we live now.
Yeah.
So the second thing that we have tried our best to do, we don't always hit it on the head, but is we go and visit family, meaning his family, Augusta, at least once a month. But we've missed it a couple times. Yeah,
it's happened a lot more now since COVID happened. We missed a lot then because we weren't really traveling, but before COVID, we may miss it once a year. We may miss one month or twice.
When I say miss it, though, like it's like postponed like 2 weeks. Like we'll go like a month and a half without seeing them, or a month and a week,
Yeah.
But that's how we've compromised. I don't need that. I don't need to go see my family once a month. I mean, I would love it if I did, but it's not always a top priority. But for Mike, and that is how we have mixed his world with mine, and that works for us.
Yes, and it's been like this for a while, and it's amazing that you find somebody that's willing to compromise something like that with you.